Hey, my friends, welcome to the Dallas Daily Show coming at you from the Neighborhood Loan Studio here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm really excited about today's episode. Occasionally in the Dallas Show, we're going to bring someone on as a guest within the pod, and we're just going to talk with them in a little further depth of maybe mind shift, mindset, coaching. It's other people that I know, love, and respect. Today, the conversation with Stefani, we're going to talk a lot about frequency, vibration, and how you think it is how you can be it. Really excited about this, and she's going to be here in the studio with me very shortly, but you're going to love Stefani. She's a bundle of positive energy, and I can't wait for you to meet her. So let's go ahead and hop into the conversation. What's up, my friends? Welcome. Very excited about my guest today, Stefani Seek. She is the founder and president of Love the Sell. She serves as an embedded coach for B2B sales-driven professionals, sales-driven organizations, as well as she is a private coach for burned-out professionals who are seeking to up-level in their life and career. She spent 25 years in corporate sales and sales leadership. She's worked with esteemed global organizations. You're going to love this person. I love her. She's awesome. She's worked with Salesforce. She's worked with Gartner. But she finds great joy and satisfaction in helping her clients claim the abundance in life, claim the abundance in business that they deserve. And the other thing we're going to talk to her about is her new book, Your Love Compass, which is a different thing than Love the Sell. But I am super stoked. She is here in St. Louis, Missouri with us here at the Neighborhood Loan Studio, and she's a mom to 3 daughters. Stefani, my friend, good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Dallas.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Taylor, Stefani's awesome, right? So there's a couple different areas where you sit, and we're going to hear a little bit about your journey, a little bit about your story. We met originally at the ACA Business Club, and you had just become a member, but we were kind of simpatico from the very beginning. We had a one-to-one. We met for lunch, and I'm like, I think I like this person. She's awesome. And you said the same thing to me.
I did. You know, sometimes you just walk into a room and you survey the room and everyone who's in it, and energetically someone stands out to you.
Yeah.
And for me, you were that person, and there was just this instant connection of, he's interesting. I need to get to know him, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Here we are. So what's interesting, you kind of live in two worlds with your business as an entrepreneur, and I kind of live in those two worlds too. So I'm the communicate to succeed guy. I'm helping executive level leaders and their leadership teams with their communication skills. But then I also sit over here as the future you MindSHIFT coach, right? You kind of live in two worlds too. So explain to us a little bit more about Love the Sell, and then let's talk also about your new book, brand new book, by the way, Your Love Compass. So talk about those two worlds and kind of how you got into them.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I realized a couple of years ago that even though I appreciated corporate America, it had been a wonderful environment for me to learn and grow, that it was no longer aligned with where I wanted to go.
Sure.
And people had asked me throughout my career, gosh, could you just be my mentor? Could you coach me? And after a while, you start to pay attention to the signs around you, especially as you hit middle age, or at least you hope that you would.
Right.
And I thought, okay, I can help people and businesses grow and succeed with a focus on an abundance mindset. And I took a leap of faith. You know, people will say, gosh, that was so courageous. How could you quit your job, leave health insurance? You're a single mom. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And I just knew I had to follow the calling because I wanted to help people free of constraints from what the corporation was putting on me.
Oh.
So that inspired me to get started there.
Yeah.
During COVID, I wrote my first book to help young women in relationships. I have no shame.
So this is your second book?
It's my second book.
How did I not know that? Why was that not in the bio?
Because we're always just getting to know each other. I don't know.
I don't know how I didn't know you had written a book previously. So real fast, before you shift to the COVID in the first book, so around what time did you move into Love the Sell and start working with sales teams and sales-driven organizations?
This was 2 years ago. So it was 2023, almost exactly 2 years ago.
Okay. Wow. That's a good leap. And you did it post-COVID, which probably helped, I'm sure.
It did. You know, I think there was a market, and there still is, for personalizing sales messaging. AI is fantastic. We can use it as a tool. But when it comes down to it, especially in enterprise level B2B sales,
Yeah.
there still has to be personalized customization to get past gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And there's also some energy work that we have to do to make sure we feel like we're worthy of receiving things in business and in personal life. And that's
Right.
where I look at myself as a coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so I might be coaching a business or a burned out sales professional, but it's all about relationships. And
Yep.
that kind of led me into the love stuff too.
Gotcha. So for me, just to kind of reflect off of that, for me, it's all about communication. So, and you've heard me say this ad nauseum, and so have you all heard me say this ad nauseum. Communication equals connection. And if I'm communicating well, we're connecting better. And that helps. It definitely helps in sales. But whether it's communicating interpersonal with yourself, right, or communicating interpersonal with other people. So talk to me about this idea of energy and mindset. We're going to get to the relationship stuff, but talk to me about this because you first noticed this when you were working with salespeople, which is what intrigues me. I understand it bleeds over into relationships, but how did you first start to figure out this? Oh, sales is also an energy game, and kind of define that for us.
That's a great question. So anyone who's been in a sales organization that is very sales focused and they reward and compensate their salespeople, there's usually some kind of annual contest or leaderboard or some incentive trip. And I started to observe it's the same people at the top all the time. Typically the same 10 to 20 people, the same names get repeated.
Sure.
And other salespeople might think, well, they just got lucky. They walked into a great territory. They have great accounts. And what I realized is that those top achievers, they just expect it. They don't necessarily worry about the changes that come at them or this procurement person's terrible to work with or this account isn't spending money anymore. They just have that goal in mind. And they say, no matter what, I have this belief that it's going to work out for me.
This is so good. I'm loving this. My brain is like, and this is great. I love this. Keep going.
So once you realize that they have made both a conscious and probably a subconscious decision that things are always working out for me, then we end the blame game because there are a lot of salespeople who say, oh, I just got the wrong territory. I got the wrong breaks. And it's all about momentum. So are we in the momentum of a belief system that it's always working out for me, doors are always opening for me, I will meet the right people when I need to? Or are we in the belief system that sales is hard, my territory is terrible, nobody cares about me, my leadership doesn't give me the resources that I need? It's a choice. And it starts, and this goes along with everything you talk about, Dallas, it's a choice of how we speak to ourselves on the inside first.
Well, and we have so many, one of the things I talk about too a lot is we have so many scripts that have been given to us. Sales is hard, right? Getting past the gatekeeper is almost impossible. We even lie to ourselves about this idea that it's a numbers game. It's a quality game, a lot, quality of your skill set. And so I think when you step into those places, it is all about mindset. I got a really funny story for you though. So years ago, I worked for when we lived in Los Angeles, I worked as an apartment manager, and there was, I think, 28 buildings or something in this company. I had one of the larger ones, and I had been manager of the year twice, and they asked me to start doing sales training for the other managers because I was good on the phone and I was good on the tours, and but they had a contest, and it was one of these things where in my head I was like, I've never won a raffle. But the contest was, can you get the most Google reviews and Yelp reviews for your building? And every time you get a review, your name's going to go in the hat. Okay. It's like, all right, this is going to be great. I'm going to crush it,
Right.
I was getting Google reviews from people who didn't end up renting from me because they were like, dude, this guy, I didn't end up renting here. I got closer to my office, but you got to rent from this guy.
I love that.
I had approximately 90-something reviews in the hat, 90 draws in the hat. But in my head, I was like, I've never won a raffle. I never win a raffle. The next closest person had 12 in the hat, okay? So you can imagine, I had over half the hat of stuff.
Way over half.
Way over half. So they decided to do 2 drawings because they're like, well, Dallas is going to win the first thing, which is the trip to Santa Barbara and the weekend and the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I've never won a raffle. It's fine. They draw the first name. I didn't get it. It was a person who had 5 tickets in the raffle. And I was like, that's fascinating. So the person who drew was like, that's so crazy. Second person or second draw, they're like, this one's definitely going to Dallas. Nope. Out of over half things, because in my mind, I was like, I've never won a raffle. I had done all the work. I had no problem doing the sale.
Right.
I had no problem getting the reviews. I had no problem closing the deals, being manager of the year, all of that. But I had a limitation in my thought about that. And I literally should have won both prizes. So they ended up giving me a $50 gift card to a restaurant as an attaboy.
Bad.
I was like, that's a $500 thing. That's a $1,000 thing. You gave me $50. So
That's
anyway,
great.
totally random thing. And I should probably cut it because this is not about me. This is about you. But nonetheless, I think that brings to mind that I had the right mindset when it came to sales and customer service and all of that. I didn't have it when it came to my personal life.
Yes.
Or that I was going to win,
Yes.
which is such an intriguing thing.
You have to feel, by the way, I love that story. I am going to retell that story.
Great.
That is fantastic. It is a perfect example of the energetic work that we can do because we have to feel worthy of receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that a lot of salespeople burn out because they're giving. Their entire world revolves around putting themselves on the other side of the table. What's it like to be in the customer's shoes?
Yep.
And for those that are born people pleasers, it can get toxic pretty quick because all they're doing
I have
is
no idea
giving.
what you're talking about.
Oh,
Born
nobody
people pleasers.
listening to this
No,
knows either.
no, born people pleasers. Who in the right mind?
Right. So that's where we have to learn to receive and learn that we're worthy. And I do coach salespeople to try this. Try this simple exercise. Pick something that's low stakes, low resistance.
Yeah.
Parking spots. I started with parking spots, and I used to get the worst parking spots. And I thought, I'm going to flip the script just for fun.
Yeah.
And I started saying to myself, no matter how busy it is, no matter how busy the concert venue is, I always get the best spots. The grocery store, guess what? I get the best spots. I got the best one today at a crazy busy plaza, tons of cars. A woman pulls out. It's a second spot right next to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And so start with something low resistance and start practicing that. Because it might be impossible at first for someone to believe I could be number one in my company.
Right.
But start with the little things, and then you'll start to believe it, and you'll create evidence that it can work for you.
I absolutely love this as an exercise. This is fantastic. I mean, even just in the way I manage my daily energy, I've found over this winter, I just kept saying, I don't have as much energy right now. I'm so tired right now. It's hard to get out of bed right now. And doggone it, it's been hard to get out of bed. I haven't had as much energy. I felt more tired. Obviously, Taylor, I'm too pale, but that can be fixed with sun. But just this last week, I said to my wife, I'm going to quit saying I don't have the energy. I'm too tired. Why is it such a struggle to get out of bed? And I just started doing it. And last night, went to bed later than normal, but popped up half an hour earlier, ready to go.
Wow.
And so I heard Tony Robbins say this, the energy you need is in here. You just have to think it in so many ways. And it's that frame. I love the idea, though. If you're listening to this, try the parking lot exercise or try any exercise like that. That would help you. I always get the deal. Why is it that now I always get the closest spot? Why is it that now? And I have a feeling this is going to lead into the other half of this conversation here.
You're good at segues.
Yeah, well, So it started with helping the salespeople move into that, and obviously you've had a lot of success. You've worked with some great companies and businesses. But take me back, because you said this has only been a couple years you've been doing this Love the Sell.
Right.
You wrote a book about relationships a few years ago, but now you've kind of got the Love the Sell with also your Love Compass. So we're going to talk about this book in just a minute. But what was the first book you wrote back in, what did you say, 2019?
Yes. So I used the Love Compass as a theme. So that one is for young women, ages 18 to 29. And I actually had some dads of daughters read the book, and they said this helped me to understand my daughter better. And that one's called The Love Compass. a young woman's guide to finding your authentic voice
Okay.
in relationships. And I think, did I even quote my own book the right way? Anyway, it's on Amazon under Stefani Seek. You'll see both books. And I wrote that. I always wanted to write a book, always wanted to be an author, but I didn't know what I wanted to say. And I happened to be on the couch one night. My oldest daughter, who's in college, her college friend was on the phone struggling with a relationship issue. So I coached her through it. And she said, could you just put this in a book for those of us in college? Because we don't feel heard. We don't know where to go get advice. And I said, well, there's my first book.
Yeah.
So I wrote that as just a passion project. Didn't know how to promote it or anything. I've learned so much in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But I felt a calling with the new book to write something for middle-aged women.
Yeah. So this one is actually a woman's unconventional guide to dating and relationships.
And the unconventional, it has emanated from my work in sales and the mindset work. Because how we speak to ourselves, that internal dialogue, it applies to dating and relationships. If we say dating's hard or my marriage is difficult, which, hey, marriages can be very difficult. I'll be very transparent with your listeners. I've been married and divorced 2 times by the age of 43, something I never expected would happen to me. Yeah. And I had to spend time researching and investigating what was my part in that.
Sure.
How could I be so successful in my professional life and what people might regard as unsuccessful in my personal life? What was I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I learned that in sales, I actually believed I was worthy of success.
Yeah.
In a relationship, the dynamic can be completely different when we're talking romantic relationships.
Right.
And we can sell ourselves short of what we believe we're worthy of or what we'll stand for. Lack of boundaries.
Yeah.
And it all shifts back and forth. I think the world is evolving and consciousness is evolving to realize I can't compartmentalize anymore. The salespeople that come to me, they're burned out about sales, but by session 2, it's, well, I've got all this other stuff going on.
Right. It's all the bleed over of all the areas. So we talk a lot on the pod about the 4 dimensions of our life are spiritual, physical, relational, and professional. And under that, there's mental and emotional and financial and, exercise versus nutrition. There's all those like subvariants, but sorry. But those 4, spiritual, physical, relational, and professional. And sometimes you can feel like you're crushing it. You can be at an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in one area. But if one of them is a 4 or a 3, it begins to affect the holistic you.
It does.
Yeah.
It impacts our professional lives. Most of the time when I was coaching the salespeople that I led in the corporate environment, when things weren't working that should have been, we had to have the conversation of what's really going on.
Yeah.
And that's where you find that they're facing all kinds of adversity in their personal life.
Yep.
And it's impacting their overall confidence. And we have to be confident when we're out there doing whatever passion it is that we have.
Give me your definition of confidence.
I think confidence is knowing yourself so well that you can speak authentically and not second guess everything that you're saying.
That's good. So I've always thought of, well, not always, but in the last few years, I've come to know confidence as the alignment of your passion, your excellence, and your authenticity.
Love it.
And when those 3 come together, the fire goes off in anyone's eyes when you get them talking from that place of who they really are. So that you're absolutely right. It bleeds from professional over to personal. So what started this journey for you with you saw this in young women and then you said, I need this guide. You just mentioned a couple of divorces here, but what made you say, okay, this is my mission?
Right. I knew firsthand what it felt like to quote unquote fail in society's eyes in a relationship, to watch kids, my 3 daughters, go through a divorce. My oldest had to have it happen to her twice because she was born from my first marriage. And I looked at these women, these young girls that I'm raising, and I thought, if I can at least write a book that helps them understand that it's all about their own voice and looking out for how they're expressing themselves and not feeling intimidated, not feeling scared to speak their own voice, that could have an impact on the world. And then it kind of snowballed through social media. Women started finding me, and then I'll be honest, there was a really good, compelling event that happened with the second book. So
I love compelling events.
I know,
Please
don't you?
tell me what
They
the
just kind
compelling
of push you.
I just love a good compel.
So I had really no time as a solo entrepreneur to write a second book this past year.
Sure.
And I got approached by the event organizer for the Oscars, and she had met me through another event, and she said, "What do you have for me? I think something you're doing should be in the gifts for the celebrities at the Oscars."
Okay.
And this was last summer. And I said, "Well, you know what? I've got a book, but it's just for young women.
Yeah.
What if I wrote a second book?" I wrote this book in 10 weeks over the
Wow.
summer and fall of 2024, and it just came through me.
Yeah.
And so now in a month, at the end of February of 2025, I will be at the Oscars hand gifting this at one of the premier gifting events I
Wait,
want
this
to make
year,
a difference, like in 30 days.
Nice.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
That is
you.
so exciting.
Thank you.
That is no small feat. First of all, 10 weeks for a book is no small feat, but then also that's going to be a huge, massive breakthrough moment for you.
It is, and I look at what's the impact. You know, we make jokes about Hollywood or dating and relationships.
Wait a second. We make jokes about Hollywood?
I know. TMZ, anyone? But when it comes down to it, everyone's a human being with a soul.
Right.
And they just want to be loved.
Yeah.
We're just motivated by love.
Yep.
And do people see me for who I really am? And that was the quest I was on. I appreciate my 2 ex-husbands because I learned so much from them.
Yeah.
But I knew in those relationships I wasn't really being loved for me.
Yeah.
And that was my journey. So with the first book and this book, I just want women to get clear on how they want to feel in a relationship. Men can use this as a tool too.
Right.
Men have big feelings. And I think we sell men short in society. They're feeling the feels too.
Can you look directly into camera and say that again as well? Because I love that.
Men, you feel the feels. You have big feelings and you deserve to express them.
Thank you.
So get in touch with those.
I love that. So years ago, I was working with dads battling burnout. And the amount of muscle up and just push through that I would experience with people, and I'd be like, will you just feel it?
Yeah.
Now, granted, I say that, and the moment I start to get a little weepy and my wife says, honey, just feel what you're feeling. It immediately goes down. I'm like, no, I'll feel it when I'm good and ready. Don't you tell me when to feel it.
Right.
But that's so refreshing. And there's a chapter in the book where talk to me a little bit about this. There's this chapter in the book called Ease and Flow. Yes. I think so often we grip and hold.
We do.
Right? So talk to me a little bit about that one concept of ease and flow.
So we have to allow. And what happens is when we project to the end result that we want, for those of you into quantum physics, we collapse the field of possibility.
What are we doing? Are we about to get into some Joe Dispenza level?
Oh, we are. Shredding his cat.
Yeah, collapse of the observer effect, collapse of the wave function.
That's exactly right. I love that you know that. Of course you do. And of course your listeners do too. So when we are not allowing flow and we're attaching to an end result, we miss all the beautiful, miraculous, and helpful open and closed doors. So with the ease and flow, think of a garden hose.
Yeah.
And you're watering your garden beds and your flowers. If you grip the hose too tight, the flow of water ends. It ceases to be. We have to allow flow because we want to, when we attach to that outcome. So if it's in a relationship and a woman's dating and her end result is, I must get married. She could end up dating someone where she's missing the little signs all along the way where her intuition is saying, not a good fit.
Right.
This isn't really resonating. But because she's like, this is good enough. I want the ring on my finger. This is what I want. We are not allowing for flow. We're blocking all of the flow that we should be paying attention to, and that propels us in the right direction. Same with business.
Yeah.
A lot of salespeople are gripping the bat too tight, and when they're talking to their customers, they're just,
feel it on them too.
I want the sale.
Yeah.
And the customer feels it. And instead of allowing for that customer to have that free-flowing conversation, this is what I'm experiencing, and reacting, they're shutting it down because they just want the sale.
you can feel that when you're talking to a salesperson. I had a young man recently. He was going hard for the close, and I told him at the beginning, this isn't going to happen. Like, I know this. It was from an online coaching thing. I said, "Hey, man, this isn't going to happen, but I'm taking the call because I want to hear your sales techniques." I actually said that to him
I love
at
that.
the beginning, and he was driving so hard at the end. And I said, "Hey, do you remember what I said at the beginning?" I like this idea of, if you grip it too tight, and that's a really good visual, Stephanie, of the idea of the hose and gripping it too tight. Sometimes we fold the hose in half
Oh
and
gosh, we're
completely
coiling it,
clamp
we're
it down.
all the
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Right.
it's not good. It's not good when we do that. What's a good way to ask this question? The thought that comes to mind, though, do you know much about human design? Have you read anything about it, or?
Like the human-centered design
Yeah.
around applications technology.
No. Sorry.
Oh, then no.
So
Please
human
elaborate.
design, like, so I have a friend who she's certified in energy medicine, and
Okay.
so human design having to do a little bit with just how the flow of energy goes through you. But in one of the concepts, which I'd like to unpack with you for just a moment, is there's this idea of some people are what they call specific manifestors. They do see it and say, "This is exactly what I want."
Yes.
But then other people are more non-specific manifestors, where it's more like, "Well, I'm success." But if they were to say, "No, I want it to be 6K, 6 figures by this date," it doesn't happen, and it causes consternation. But other people, it's like, "No, specific target." So it sounds like what you're saying here with ease and flow is maybe a little more non-specific in that regard.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. So I talk about the difference between intentions and goals.
Yes.
So we can do specific manifestation around goals. I always wanted to drive a Porsche Panamera.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could see my hands on the wheel. Sure enough, a couple years ago, a used car dealer I was friends with,
Yeah.
I put it out there. He's like, "I've got one," and it was something I could afford.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear. It was a used Porsche Panamera, but I love
Do
it.
not
it's my
apologize
baby.
for your abundance.
It is my
Stop it.
baby. And I specifically manifested that. It was
Yeah.
a goal. It
Yeah.
was something I wanted to drive. An intention is a feeling, it's an energy. It's not knowing quite how it's going to unfold,
Yeah.
but believing that it can. And so some of my clients will set an intention of, "I know that I want to help 40 people find a job." Say they're in staffing sales.
Yeah.
I really want to help people find work, or we won't even put a number on it. My intention is I'm going to match people who are in need of employment with a job that fulfills them and provides.
Sure.
And then it's a really good feeling. Or I want to meet someone who just can really see me for me. And that's what I want to do. I really want to meet someone that I can have that connection with.
Yeah.
We don't attach that. Maybe that's your husband. Maybe that's the love of your life.
Yeah.
And so I do love specific goal-oriented manifestation because,
Yeah.
hey, sometimes we want to bring 10K into our life.
Right.
But other times it has to be the feeling because we just don't know how it's going to turn out, and that's okay.
Neville Goddard, somebody that I've studied a lot, right?
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
very familiar with him. One of the things he says is you have to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
That's right.
Live in the feeling of this is what it's going to feel like, even though it's not yet.
That's right.
You feel as though it's now versus not yet. And I think for the people, I love this line of delineation you're given here between intention and goals. Goals are under our control. And if I handle like the leading indicators, I'll get the lagging indicators, right? I mean, that's sales 101. But I love this idea of, in life in general, there's some things where, like, no, I want the intention of a thriving relationship.
Right.
And I do a power script every day with my buddy Jeff. For those of you who know Jeff Kozatek, you've heard me talk about him, and he's on the pod. So he and I do a power script for each other every day, and we leave each other the, "Hey, I'm so happy and grateful now that physically, spiritually, all the stuff." And a lot of what I have been saying more recently is more the feeling element, and more the, "I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm thriving, now that my relationships are thriving, now that my, that my bank account is abundant from whatever, and his are a little more specific, which is really intriguing. So we're just kind of sitting on opposite ends. So I like this. I like this line of delineation you've drawn between that.
Yeah, and you can play back and forth and see what works for you. The key is that it has to be in alignment. You have to believe it.
Yep.
So some people talk about The Secret. The Secret, the book, The Secret, was game-changing. They made it into a movie.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Yep.
But where it got misinterpreted is, well, I've been thinking about a Mercedes for 5 years. Why don't I have it?
Right.
And you have to believe that it's possible. It wouldn't be possible for me to say, I want to be a professional NBA player. It's not even
at this point. You could maybe be a
believable.
WNBA player. I hear they're taking everyone.
All at 5'2". So you have to believe it.
Yeah.
And when you believe it, that's when those emotions can kick in and you feel the feels.
Right.
To your point. And to Neville Goddard's point.
Right.
So one of the
Bob Proctor and
all
Earl
of the
Nightingale
greats.
And,
All of the great teachers. Dr. Wayne Dyer is another
Oh,
good
my
one
goodness.
to look up.
Change your thoughts, change your life.
Yes.
So
and
good.
you do.
Yeah.
So you can use this exercise, but in the Love Compass, women who are seeking romantic love, I give them the ice cream bucket analogy. Remember Baskin Robbins when you'd walk in and there were like all those flavors, 31 flavors. I walk women through the exercise of, I want you to assign flavors to all the different types of love you have. So maybe chocolate chip is your beloved son. Maybe strawberry ice cream is your best girlfriend. And you're just holding this other bucket, just one other bucket.
Yeah.
And that's romantic love. What does that look like? What does that feel like? We can do this in business. Like, we put the things we want on such a pedestal that it seems unachievable. And if we just level it out and say, this is my intention, and then have the faith that it's going to come, and look at the abundance you already have, that allows you to get in the feeling.
Yeah.
So it's not like faking it. I'm a multimillionaire, but I've got $500 in my bank account.
Right.
It's, I am going to feel like I'm wealthy because I have air to breathe. I have freedom.
I call it borrowed abundance.
Oh, I like that.
So I borrow it from another area of my life where I'm having success. And I say, what's the feeling I get of success in this area? Can I feel that same way over here where I'm not having it? So I kind of borrow that abundance or borrow that feeling of success.
Great phrase.
Well, take it. It'll be for your third book.
Perfect. Maybe we'll collaborate.
There you go. We could talk forever and hours, and I'm sure we'll still continue after this. However, I just want to let everybody know again, Stefani Seek, and we're going to have her info and her links in the show notes below. But this book, Your Love Compass, A Woman's Unconventional Guide to Dating and Relationships, but also she's got the one for younger women in their life as well. So those are both available on Amazon.
They are.
And also, if people are interested in having a conversation with you about sales coaching, that's another conversation. That, everybody, you can go to lovethecell.com. Again, that's in the show notes below. Lovethecell.com. You can connect with Stefani, connect with her on the socials as well that we have in the links. But Stefani, if you're going to leave us with anything, what would you leave us with today?
My favorite phrase, you can always change your mind. We get into ruts. We think that it's too late in my life. I can't possibly do anything different. You can always change your mind. And it's almost a double entendre because you literally have to change it in here.
Right.
So take something low resistance. Take something easy that you could change your mind about.
Yeah.
Consciously practice it. And then you'll start to be able to change your mind about the bigger things.
Yeah.
Anything's possible if it's in your heart.
I love it.
You'll be supported by the universe.
You always have permission to change your mind. Start with the small exercise. Again, I love the parking lot exercise, the parking space exercise. Find the thing for you, everybody, that you can go, that's where I want to start doing the little shift, the little fix, the little tweak, the little turn. Stefani, so great having you here. Thank you so much for coming on with us.
So fun. Thank you. This is a great podcast, Dallas.
Thank you very much. We're having a good time, and we're having a good time here at Neighborhood Loans.
Thank you,
Taylor. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Everybody, again, go out, connect with Stefani. Go to lovethecell.com. Find her books on Amazon.com as well. Reach out to her if you're interested in relationship coaching or sales coaching or both and. Both and.
Sometimes.
There you go, both and. Stefani, my friend, thank you again. And to all of you out there, have a championship day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to DallasDailyShow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.